that a divine partnership already exists between the seen and the unseen. I invite you to take these words into your deep meditation. God is. God is all there is. God is and I am. The absolute one creative energy is called by a multitude of names, yet it is always one. This energy permeates all of nature and all of my world and is not subject to any limitations of time nor space. I know this in the very center and nucleus of my mind, and I can easily recognize the one. Everyone here knows the truth about God, and it is the greatest knowledge to be learned. Everyone is united and never separated from divine consciousness. This is not only something we feel every day, this is something we can choose to soar in. Today, I inhale gratitude and I exhale love. The music, the message, and the technology are all perfect. They unite us together from all over the world. Inspiration, insight, and peace abound here. I relax in this safe and sacred space in a spirit of thanksgiving. I know that the music inspires. I know that the words from Reverend Jerry go out to each individual in a unique way. I call this all good and all God, and so it is. And now, please welcome again Talia, the wonderful Talia.
Please prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Please prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Please prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
Beautiful song, Talia. Thank you so much. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome. It's great to be with you this morning. I am honored beyond words to have shared the platform this morning with my beloved friend and our brand new practitioner, Mava. Congratulations. We love you, and we are so grateful for you. Great invocation and treatment this morning. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's okay. That's okay. So as you may remember, during the month or during the year, our topic, CSL's theme for the year, is living out loud. So not sitting quietly, not behaving ourselves necessarily, but living out loud and deciding what's true for us and deciding what's not true for us and making the necessary adjustments. And during June, July, and August, as you know, we celebrate our freedoms. Juneteenth, June 19th, commemorates the fall of slavery. And I don't know if you know the story or not, but so President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation in Washington, D.C., but it took like 2 years to get the word to Galveston, Texas, that the slaves were freed and it was okay, but it took 2 years to get that information to them. So we celebrate that, thankfully, starting this year. We celebrate Juneteenth. Last Tuesday, as you know, was Independence Day, 4th of July, and many of us celebrated with, there were more hot dogs and hamburgers, I think, that lost their lives on that day than probably throughout the rest of the year, or tofu burgers or whatever you chose to do. But many of us got together with family or friends and celebrated that this place called America is pretty amazing, and these freedoms that we have are pretty awesome. And then, as you may know, next Saturday, I would encourage you to either go early and be part of it or stay as far away from Hillcrest as possible, because next Saturday is the Pride Parade and the festival. So, yes. So Saturday is the parade, Saturday and Sunday the festival, and we've just got all sorts of incredibly wonderful things going on. Me too, right? Yes. So how kind of them to throw us a parade. Yeah, really, yeah, appreciate that. Yes, absolutely. So we're celebrating our freedoms that are ours throughout the year, but especially during these couple of months. And I would suggest that included in that is the freedom for us to question, what do I believe about this? Whatever this is. What do I believe about this in my life? Why does this bug me so much? And does this still work for me? When you came in this morning, you received a little sheet of paper. And if you'd let one of us know and we can get you one. But it across the top, it says what I was taught about and what I believe now. And so during my talk this morning, I'll be talking about some of these areas and invite you, if you would like, to just jot down what you believe about these areas and then what you believe about them now. And for those of you who are not with us in the room, if you can grab a piece of paper and would love it if you would like to make notes as well. Everybody else all set with a pen and a form? Okay, great. And you can make notes on the back of that other sheet as well. Yes, yeah. So I was thinking about the topic, and I am often reminded of the wonderful writing, The Guest House, written by the Sufi mystic poet Rumi. And remember, he talks about me. He talks about you as a guest house. And in the guest house, we find all sorts of wonderful emotions. Wonderful, in quotation marks. Wonderful emotions like anger and depression and bitterness and fear and all the rest of that. And it's on the screen there, but I will read it for you as well. This being human is a guest house, every morning a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. I love the concept of that because how often do we have that anger, that hurt, that emotion that we judge as wrong or bad, and then we feel shame about our shame, or guilt about our guilt, or sorrow about our sorrow, and I could go on all day, but you get the gist of that. Rather than, that's interesting. I'm not sure where that came from, or why am I getting upset about this, and I'll talk more about that as we go along. So I would suggest that in our guest house, there are also our beliefs. Our beliefs that we were taught maybe growing up by our parents, our grandparents, our church. If you went to some sort of organized religion or religious organization, you were quite possibly taught some information that either still works for you or doesn't. But so often we have these perhaps invited guests, perhaps uninvited guests that in the night just came in and took up residence in our guest house. I didn't invite them. I didn't invite them consciously, but for whatever reason, maybe 40, 50 years ago, they just plowed their way through when I wasn't paying attention, or when I believed that whoever was talking knew what they were talking about, and they took up residence in my guest house. You remember in the book, The Four Agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz talks about our domestication, that growing up, we learned important things about look both ways before you cross the street, make sure you're home before dark, don't talk to strangers, eat your main meal first before you have dessert, which I still have some dicey beliefs about. So I'm thinking, like you've heard the expression, life is uncertain, eat dessert first. So, yeah, but take that for whatever you want. But the point is, so many of those things that we were taught, and many when we were young, and so we didn't know to say, now wait just a minute. But at any point, and there's never been a better day to do it than today, there's the opportunity for us to look and see, yeah, you're an uninvited guest in my guest house. I didn't invite you, and you're a guest, not an owner, so that means I can put you and your stuff out on the street. I know, right? So who's in my guest house that it's time for me to evict? So that's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about this morning. Starting with but before I get to that, remember the old, and I was reminded of this as I was writing the talk, remember the old story about it's a family gathering, and grandmother's there, mother's there, daughter's there, and they're having ham for dinner. And so the daughter cuts the ham in half and puts one in this pan and one half in this pan and one half in this pan. And she's like, I don't know why I did that, but I've always done that. And so she asks her mother, why do you do that? And her mother says, well, I've always done that. Ask your grandmother. So they ask the grandmother, and the grandmother says, well, the reason that I always did that is because my pan wasn't big enough to hold the whole ham, so I had to cut it in half. But what beliefs, what assumptions, what ideas about life, about God, about money, about all of these things have we carried with us over time? And it's okay, but at some point, such as right now, we can look and decide, does this still make sense for me or not? So that's what we're about this morning. Starting with our higher power. God, Spirit, the universe, the infinite, the divine, whatever you choose to call it. What do we believe about God? What were we taught? I don't know about you, but my upbringing in the Missouri Synod Lutheran Church was that God is hateful, cranky, white, straight, obnoxious, judgmental, old man up on a cloud someplace that would basically turn you into a pillar of salt as look at you. Because remember Lot's wife in the Old Testament? They're leaving Sodom and Gomorrah, and she turns around and looks, and he said, don't look back. Don't look back. You'll be turned into a pillar of salt. That sounds like a Sunday morning talk, but that's a separate conversation. But so she turned around and looked, and he turned her into a pillar of salt. So is that my God? Is that my higher power? That's not the loving, nurturing presence that Jesus talked about, but that for many of us, that's what we were taught. And our spiritual mind treatment, our affirmative prayer, is not going to work for us in the way that we say we want it to, unless and until we recognize that life with a capital L really is a loving, nurturing presence that always says yes, not a judgmental, withholding, capricious, old word, but, moody, judgmental God. So What do we believe about what did we believe about our higher power, and what do we believe now? I talk about this a lot, and of course, whenever I'm talking to you, I'm always talking to myself, but I feel like it's important for us to keep checking in, and for me to keep checking in, what do I believe about this presence, and does this still work for me? Does this still make sense for me, or am I ready to change to something else? So what do we believe about our higher power? So we're reviewing the guest list and making adjustments, as we talked about. And to keep asking, to ask and keep asking. We are free to say yes. I just really want that. And we're free to say no. There's an amazing book, Radically Content, that I've shared a few times, and I've created a workshop out of that book because how important it is for us to, when someone asks us to do something or offers us something, that would be amazing. Yes, thank you. Or, I really appreciate that, but that's too much. When someone gives us a gift, do we say, oh, you shouldn't have done that? Yes, they should have. Or when someone gives us the opportunity to do something with them or for them, can we say, yes, that really makes my tail wag, I want to do that? Or, no. Do we have issues with being selfish and accepting what people give us? Do we have issues with saying no? And what if we say no? I don't know about for you, but for me, it's been big stuff. And because what happens if I say no? The ebb and flow of the tides will be stopped. The world will cease to revolve. There was no one else in the world that can do this. If you don't do it, it's not going to get done. Perhaps. But I'll bet there's somebody else that can do this. But can we say, in love and compassion, and thank you so much for speaking of me, but no, that is not mine to do. So I found this article. It was in Inc. Inc. magazine, talking about the sacred, my word, the sacred no. I did this not long ago. I really, and I'm just, it's like going to the gym and bench pressing 300 pounds. You know, when you do something that you're not used to, or you do something that you're uncomfortable with, but that is really your truth, to say, you know, I love that you thought of me, but no. So this article in Inc. magazine talked about the amount of time we spend in the first place getting ready to feel guilty about saying no, and then the 5 or 10 or 15 minutes of explanation for why we're saying no. Or we could use the formula. So appreciation plus no plus well wishes. So listen to this and see what you think. Thank you so much for thinking of me. There's the appreciation. I don't have time in my schedule right now. That's the no. But I know it will be a great event. That's it.
Yes, no.
Yeah. So somebody said, not me, said no is a complete sentence, and it may not be completely, but we can add a little fluff at the beginning and the end. But what do we believe about our ability to say no, and will they still love us? Will it be okay? Will the sun continue to rise and set? Or are we screwing with the tides? I mean, is this... And the good news is that after I spoke my truth and said what I said and stood in my truth, the sun came up the next day. Lord, I sound like Annie. But it really did. It did. It came out the next day, and it's going to be okay. And the person that I said no to, I think, still loves me. And that's... It's better than, because how much time do we spend worrying about what's going to happen if we say, no, thank you so much, but I don't want to do this? It's better than, right? It's better than Weight Watchers. It's better than Nutrisystem. It's better than Jenny Craig. I mean, this weight that has come off my shoulders because I don't have to think about this anymore. So I just kicked that guest out of my guest house. And if I could do it for that, then I can do it the next time somebody asks me to do something and I'm like, I don't think so. And the next time, because it's a muscle that we're exercising. So how are we with saying yes, being selfish and saying yes, and then saying no? And can we ask for what we want? From our partner, from our children, from our employer, from our friends, can we ask for what we want? How much time, and my late husband and I used to do this a lot for a variety of reasons, but what do you want for dinner? I don't know. What do you want for dinner? 45 minutes later, we're still trying to figure out what do you want for dinner, rather than, because I don't really want, but I really want, but I can't say that because it sounds selfish, versus, no, that's what I want. So you want pizza and I want Thai food. We'll do a deal and we'll do pizza tonight and Thai food tomorrow night. So we'll come up with a plan there, but we had stuff with that. But are we able to ask for what we want? Interesting question. Because we might have been taught that's selfish. No, you have to make sure the other person gets their needs fulfilled and gets what they want first, and then you get the crumbs. And I would suggest that we're not here to do that. We're here to share, so you get to choose tonight and I'll choose tomorrow night, but to allow ourselves to ask for what we want. Because if we can't ask each other, how can we ask the universe? Interesting question. Can we ask for what we want? We are free to ask ourselves what we believe about, wait a minute. Next is money. So we are free to ask ourselves, what do we believe about money? Everything's wonderful. We're lavishly abundant. The Spirit is the source of our good, and all that stuff that the company lines, all of those things that we say when we're in church on Sunday, and then go home and worry over the checkbook and try and figure out how we're going to pay the rent next month. If this works, if you work it, and in recovery communities they say it works if you work it, I would suggest that this law, this science of mind, this law that we use, this loving, nurturing presence always responds as we believe in our physical health and our relationships and our parking places and our money. And it works for everybody the same way all the time. So we don't talk so much about money. And for a lot of us, we come from different situations. Growing up, my father worked in underground construction, and he was a teamster, and he made really good money. And they had a vacation fund. So they put aside part of his pay for the vacation fund. And so we're going on vacation in July, and it's so exciting, and we're going to get this chunk of money, and it's just going to be awesome. And then in June, the washing machine dies. And then the freezer dies. And then What's that strange noise the car's making? Because bad things come in threes. You've heard that expression? Bad things come in threes. And so, well, that's one, and that's two, so go sit down and wait in the corner because you know the next one's coming. Well, is that the truth? Or is that our truth because we believe it is? So often we're excited and we're good to go and this is going to be an amazing experience, and then, nope, we got to use the vacation fund to repair the whatever. And so it was the roller coaster of, oh boy, here we go, and then, and oh boy, here we go, and then. My grandparents grew up in the Depression, and if you did or have relatives that did, there can be that guest in our guest house about that fear of having enough. You better buy 2 or 3 when you go to the grocery because you don't know if it's going to be there and you'll have the money for it the next time you go. And we carry that with us. We carry that fear, that uncertainty about money and about supply and about having enough. We carry that with us maybe through generations, unless and until we say, not anymore. I no longer believe that. I no longer accept that. It's not my experience. And lovingly kick that belief out of our guest house. But what do we believe about money? And does it keep us awake at night? If so, there's an opportunity to heal that. So if you were going to write a movie about your money, what would it be called? Would it be The Agony and the Ecstasy? Would it be To Have and Have Not? Would it be Mad, Mad World? Or would it be It's a Wonderful Life? Whoops, sorry. Something for us to consider, because if we boil this teaching down, as we know, quoting the words of Jesus from the New Testament, it's done unto you as you believe. And so life has no choice but to give us whatever it is that we believe. So if we believe in that abundance, then that becomes our experience. If we believe in the claw and scratch, that becomes our experience. We always get to decide, does this belief still work for me, or am I ready to change it to something else? So what was I taught about money, and what do I believe now? What do I believe about life? I'm much better than I was, and I would say that we're much better than we were. And then once we get everything resolved, I'm done, I'm complete, everything is wonderful, everything is perfect, I don't need to do any more work, then I think that's when we go on to our next experience. So the good news is I'm going to be with you for a long time because I've got stuff to do, and you may as well. But what do we believe about life and about struggle and about the appearance of, oh my God, what are we going to do, versus, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I just know that it's going to. I try to fly United Airlines whenever possible because I have million-mile status with them, and so I get upgrades, I get early boarding, I get, they don't genuflex when I come on the plane, but it's a really nice relationship. And I was in Dallas 2 weeks ago, and American, if you fly a fair amount, Dallas is a big hub for American, so they go nonstop from San Diego and from almost everywhere to Dallas. Houston is United's hub, and so I go San Diego, Houston, Houston, Dallas. So there's weather, there's stuff, using a purely metaphysical term. There is stuff, and so I'm there, and I guest spoke at this amazingly wonderful Unity congregation outside of Dallas, and did my thing, and then made a mad dash to the airport. So the connection to Houston is delayed, or the flight to Houston is delayed. So I'm going to miss the connection to San Diego. So I'll go through Denver, because that's one of United's other big hubs. Well, the connection to Denver is delayed, and so I'm going to miss my connection from Denver to San Diego. And the still small voice said, well, you can sit and just wait and allow this to play out, or you could go talk to somebody and ask for what you want. And so I did. And I said, I just really want to go. I love Dallas. It's 100 degrees, but I want to go home. How can I get to San Diego tonight? And so I went on the next flight on American, nonstop from Dallas to San Diego. In the appearance of chaos, of dis-ease and disorder, can we allow ourselves to step back and recognize that somehow, some way, the universe has got our back, and this is going to come out with ease and grace? Yes, we can. We absolutely can. And how important how important it is for us, there we go, to recognize that. But if we come from that drama mind, if we come from that, life is like a beaver colony, one damn thing after another. If we come from that place, if we come from that place of struggle, then we wonder, well, how come that's happening? Well, how come that's happening? Because life didn't have any choice but to give us what we asked for, consciously or unconsciously. So the belief in chaos and the belief in struggle and the belief in all of that could very well be one of the squatters in our guest house, and it's time to get them to pack their stuff and get out, because that's no longer our truth. So what do we believe about life? Why does this bug me? This, whatever this is. I've gotten better about that, but I'm still, sometimes it takes me longer than maybe it needs to. But so something happens. Something happens. And we're like, seriously? And we get upset, the collective we. And we might work with it for a while and nurse it for a while and be upset about it for a while and be hurt about it for a while. And unless and until we stop to ask ourselves, why is this bugging me? What am I upset about? Is this really true, or can I release it? Because Course in Miracles reminds us, I am never upset for the reason that I think. Interesting concept, huh? Just push that button, just knock that scab off that wound that's been there for 40 years or whatever. I'm never upset for the reason that I think. So the opportunity, because I don't like the word challenge, the opportunity for us is to at any point say, now, why is this bugging me so much? I didn't get the recognition that I thought I should have gotten. Well, did you recognize yourself? Did you recognize that you did an amazing job? Do you recognize the worth and the value that you bring to whatever that situation is? Because once we really get that, the other recognition doesn't mean so much. And if we don't recognize our worth and value, anything that anybody else does or says, it's not going to sink in for us because we don't believe it. Oh, thanks very much, but you just want me to do something else. Can we recognize that within ourselves and our worth and our value? How important it is to do that. We are free to look at and turn the light on what scares us. Things we've talked about up until now: money, relationships, a change in a relationship. And you know, they do the studies from time to time about the top 5 things that scare people. And there's money, there's speaking in public, which I kind of have gotten down. I'm better than I was. Technology that we aren't familiar with. I know, right? Mava has just done amazing work with technology this week, and I so honor you for that. Yes, yeah. But can we look at whatever it is full-faced and say, I don't know how to do this, and that's why I'm going to attempt it. I've never been here before. That's why I'm going here. I've never done this before, so that's why I'm going to do this. I've never asked for this before, and it makes my heart sing, so that's why I'm going to do this. Do we allow ourselves to stay in and play small, or do we allow ourselves to recognize the fear and do it anyway? To say, oh, you're in the 3rd floor in the back room, come on, time to go. Time to go. Because again, every time we face one, we can stand just a little taller and recognize, well, if I could do that, then I can do, and you get to fill in the blank. So we're free to ask these questions. And I so invite us to look at our higher power, our relationship with our higher power, our ability to ask for what we want, our ability to say no. Look at our relationship with money, because we have one, whether we want to admit it or not. Our relationships in our relationships with other people. Life and what scares us. And decide if it's still true for us, if it still works for us, if it's still our story, or if we're ready to release it and to move on to that greater life. Because that's what we're about. And maybe if everything is fine just the way it is, that's okay too. But we always have the opportunity to question that and to ask, what's next for us? Because, talking of things that make us scary, I got to talk about this for a minute. So Monsters, Inc., if you've seen this movie, you know it's absolutely amazing and adorable. And if you haven't, you must go home and watch this movie. It's a Disney Pixar animated movie. John Goodman is the voice of James P. Sullivan, the great big blue scary guy. Billy Crystal is Mike Wazowski, the little guy with one eye, and then Boo is this young lady from Pasadena. So because everything is on the internet and you can find everything about everything, and so I didn't make note of her name, but she's just a little girl that tried out for the voiceover, and she just did an amazing job. But this is such a great movie because Sully, the big blue monster in the dark, is really scary. And then you turn on the light, and he's just he's furry and blue and sweet and cuddly. What monsters do we have in the closet or under the bed or in the checkbook that we don't want to look at, but when we do, we recognize that they're just kind of blue and furry and fuzzy and cuddly and nothing to be afraid of. I apologize. I have a stuffed Sully at home that I meant to bring this morning and I forgot. But you can almost see how furry he is just in the picture there. But such a great movie. Such a great movie. So Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "The mind, once stretched by a new idea, never returns to its original dimensions." ever had that, I just really want to go or do or be or have or just whatever it is, and nope, there's no possible way. But then every time you're watching television, there's a commercial for whatever it is, or every time you're out, never forget old what's her name that wrote E Squared. And I've met her in person, and she's amazing. But the book E Squared, she talks about the law of attraction and our attention and yellow Corvettes. Don't care about a yellow Corvette. Don't never thought about a yellow Corvette. Think about a yellow Corvette, and then see how many yellow Corvettes you see while you're out and about. And I am so embarrassed that I don't have her name, but it'll come to me later this afternoon. But the point is, once we have that idea that maybe I could, once we get that divine nudge that maybe I could, then life says, well, yeah. And let me help you with that. Let me support that for you. Let me show you whatever the next steps are. So as we clean out our guest house, as we lovingly release, we don't throw them out the third floor window. We just help them pack their stuff and put them out on the front porch. As we do that, Pam Grout, thank you so much. E Squared, that's a great book. Pam Grout is the author's name. Thank you. The joys of technology, right? We can, once we have that thought, once we've cleared out that room of that fear or that belief in lack and struggle or just whatever it is, then we're free to take the next step toward that, whatever that is. Oops, I just dropped the clicker, excuse me. Grace and charm. Did I add this? So I have one more slide for you. Come on, Bubba. Yes. So I love Facebook, and I love Facebook, and I get the coolest stuff from Facebook, and this was yesterday that I shared to my Facebook page, and I want to leave you with this thought. We are not here long enough to be living unhappy. So if life always says yes, if life says we are free to, and you get to fill in the blank, all that life is waiting for is for us to say, yes, I want that, or no, I don't want that. And then let life do what life does. So with that in mind, join me in the light for just a minute. So staying in this consciousness of oneness, we give great thanks for the opportunity to be together today, to be reminded of the truth of our being. And so moving forward, if we choose to be aware of the tenants in our guest house. Decide if it's okay that they're there, or decide that it's time for them to go. And because they're tenants, we get to choose. So we allow ourselves to look at the fears, to look at the lack, to look at the beliefs that we might have brought with us for years or centuries or decades, to look at our belief in our higher power, decide what is still true for us, and lovingly release that which is not. We move forward recognizing that we are the essence, expression, and experience of spirit, that life is for us and wants us to succeed. So for our time together, for this opportunity to move forward in this freedoms and this beloved spiritual community, we give great thanks. Together we say, and so it is. Thanks, everybody.